Oi, Brasil! Hello!
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
I'm fine. Let's start with Paradise City. We noticed that this show has a totally different vibe of what you worked before. And although you have always been part of production with music, this shows more a little bit of a dark side of different lives, including celebrities. Can you tell us a little bit about this production and your character?
Paradise City, our TV show, it's interesting about it. It gives you two perspectives of the music industry. You have a band that's coming off of a huge success, and it goes through the perspective of how difficult it is to like actually keep a band together when everybody gets successful, like how hard that is. There's so much drama and so many like opinions, and it's just so difficult. So everybody's going in different directions, right? So there's that. And then there's another perspective of someone just getting into the music industry, breaking through, trying to make it all happen through the production side and through the musician side. And so it's, what's interesting about a show is you get the two perspectives into the music industry. And of course, it follows a theme from the film with the occult and everything. And my character, Vic Lakota, he's one of the guitar players in the Relentless, the band. And I like to think of him as like the glue of the band.
Mhm.
I feel like in a band, there's always like that one guy who's like trying to keep it together.
Uh-huh.
And if a band is lucky, and he's like kind of that guy who is the in-between, who's like, this person's having an issue, you need to talk to them. Okay, I'll just do it for you. Talk to them. They're having an issue with this person, talk to this person. He's like the mediator of the band. Yeah.
And you worked with a lot of huge artists like Bella Thorne and Andy. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstage? How it was, maybe curiosity?
I met Andy before we started the movie, so I've actually known him for a few years now. And Bella, we've just known each other for forever, I feel like, because of just like growing up like in the same circle of things. So it was cool to work with them all again. The cast on this is so much fun. Like we really do have a great time. It's so much fun. It really is. And yeah, because we all had done the movie together, like the band itself was so, we were a lot closer. And it felt like a band. Like it was cool.
Now let's change the topics. I've watched The Grizzlies, and man, what a movie! Really, I've stayed the whole movie with my mouth open. I couldn't stay. Really, it really touched me. And I've noticed that there are a few movies like To Stir with Love, Dead Poets Society, and Sister Act that they say almost the same thing, like teachers and education and how it changed someone's life. And we can say that The Grizzlies creates the same idea that we must live outside the box and not conform with the life that was predetermined to us. And your character is an example. So emotionally,
Totally.
how can you say how it was to be in Caio Shoes?
Oh, that's a great question. It was really heavy. It was very heavy, but at the same time, just a life-changing experience from the start to now, like literally now, still, it's been years. But doing that film was a life-changing experience. Being able to live in the Arctic for the like almost 2 months we were there doing it. And I don't know, what was really interesting too is like we filmed in the Arctic, and we could not have made that movie anywhere else except there. We couldn't have like faked it, done it in like Georgia or so, somewhere in the US, like mainland. Like it's just, that wouldn't have worked. As soon as I left to go, and I knew I was gonna go do it, and I'm like in the plane by myself, and I got to the Arctic, the airport was just like one room, and the town is just so small. And the first day I got there was like a whiteout. I couldn't see anything. It was snow everywhere. We got lost trying to find my apartment. And the guy who was driving me lived there. Like, it's crazy. Like, It was insane. We had to pull over to wipe snow off of everything. It was just, at that moment, I was like, wow, this is going to be crazy. And it was a very interesting learning process for me. It was a life-changing experience because right before that, I was going through a lot of like anxiety and a lot of like panic attacks and waking up in the middle of the night and like not feeling great. And I knew I was going to be in the Arctic by myself, not knowing anybody. And I was like, I can't do this there, like by myself, with like no cell phone reception. Like I can't even call. I can barely call anybody. Like, like nothing. Yeah. You're by yourself. And I started meditating, and on that project, I really was just trying to like listen and be present. And it really changed the way like I worked, and it really changed my life. It's hard to keep that up because when we're here, I live in Los Angeles and there's so much technology and we're always on our phones. We're always like, I'm staring at a computer or, like always this, go. And so it's hard to keep that up, but I am always trying to stay on it and be like, okay, put it down. Get off don't look at the screen. Your eyes are literally hurting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I still staring at it? My eyes are actually, and just listening to that and like trying to do things that make you present. So that's, I think, stepping into Caio's shoes, to answer your question, was very interesting because it taught me, I feel like it taught me, I was by myself a lot, and it taught me just the qualities of silence. And like literally, like, because Caio in real life was by himself a lot, or at least the Caio we portray. And what was really interesting is Caio, the real Caio, was there. Like, he came up to the filming, and the real Russ, the coach, he was our lacrosse coach to teach us how to play lacrosse, and he was there for like the whole filming. He's actually in the movie as the referee in Toronto at the end. That's the real Russ.
Oh, I just seen his picture in the end of the movie. I didn't realize.
That's him, yeah. And so the real Caio actually doubled me for a lacrosse thing. He's so amazing. Like, I'm over here trying to like him do the lacrosse, and he's like, boom, and it's like rocket. I'm like, wow, please do it.
It looks it looks a hard game. I don't know, just looking, it looks hard.
Lacrosse is so difficult. I think it's so entertaining to watch. I think the reason why it's not like as famous as hockey in Canada or like American football is literally because it's so difficult to play. Like, it's harder to play. Like, it's just so less people want to put in all the work to learn this difficult game. It was crazy. Like, honestly, playing that part, it was the most life-changing experience I've ever had.
Yeah, I can see now why you say that it was heavy, and it really is.
It was so heavy. What we were dealing with was heavy. Most of the actors in the film are from the Arctic territories, the northern territories in the Arctic. And so this is what they have dealt with in their families and personally. So we had people on set to moderate whether it was getting too intense for certain actors. There's a speech I give in the movie, and I remember we had to stop filming because it was getting too emotional for the actors in the scene, just because it was stuff that, unfortunately, this is real. Like, that's real. That actually happened in real life.
Well, we also can see that in the Grizzlies, you talk about mental health. This is an issue that people are talking nowadays a lot, even in productions. One of them that we can say is 13 Reasons Why. And even though it started as a good idea, it kind of ended up like a trigger to a lot of people. And the story kind of got lost, but we can see that even though the Grizzlies is heavy, it's something heavy to watch, difficult to watch, it's also had a good message. And how do you expect people to absorb the message that the movie brings?
Yeah, that's such a difficult. I can only answer from like my character's perspective, in the sense of someone who came from a very broken home to the point of living like homelessly in the Arctic. You know, like that's intense. Didn't want to go home because his father was scary and brutal and a hard person. And then eventually, you know, breaking through that, finding a community and being okay with things not being perfect. And I think that's something that I've been working on too. And it's something that, you know, the Grizzlies is about a lot of things. It's about community. It's about, you know, coming together. It's about being open and sharing, and how powerful that is, not holding everything inside. Because my character literally, like, he didn't talk to anybody. You know, like literally kept to himself. Like, he would go to school and just like not talk to anybody. And school essentially was just a warm place to be during the day. He wasn't like trying to learn, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, sure, he learned, but then it's like finding your community and knowing that it's okay to talk about mental health. I think that's the biggest thing, is so much of previous generations just like hold everything inside. And even for me, like in my family, like we're not talking about everything, you know. In past years, we've gotten a lot better about it, like crazy amounts. Like we've grown so much, even with my friends. Like I've noticed my friends have grown so much. And yeah, I think that's a lot it's getting, I wouldn't say it's wrong for me to say it's getting easier to talk about, because it's never easy to talk about. But I do think there are more communities that are accepting people to just talk about it. You know, whether that's an online community, whether it's a phone number that you can just call and talk to somebody on the phone, like a hotline. Like there are more, it's easier to find those things, rather than before is like people were like, I don't want to hear about your issues, but that's not the times we live in now. And I think that's a great thing to take away from the Grizzlies, is that you had these characters who just, what they would do is they would drink, you know, they would literally, you know, people were passing away, you know, left and right. Like it was the highest suicide rate per capita in Northern America, was this tiny town of like 1,100 people. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's the real story. And no one was talking about it, you know. But what's cool about the Grizzlies is before it even came out publicly, they toured it around the Northern Territories in the Arctic and showed it in schools and auditoriums. And the people out there were like, just loved it. And it's hard too, you know, but I think with the Grizzlies, the great thing about the Grizzlies is just knowing that there are people you can talk to, whether it's a hotline, whether it's an online community, whether it's your family, if you can do that, you know, being open and just trying at least. You know?
Yeah, and it's important to see productions and shows like that shows in a good way, like how
In a good
to
way.
care your mental health. Like it's really
exactly.
important. And talking about mental health, last year was tough. And one thing that I can say that brought light to a lot of people, including Brazil, was Jill and the Phantoms. It was a series that I don't know how was the experience out there, but here in Brazil, everybody was watching, everybody was listening to the songs, everybody was commenting about it, and really everybody loved it. And we interviewed Owen Joyner last year.
Oh, cool.
He worked with you, and he told a little bit about the representative and responsibility of playing a character from the LGBT community. And although Willie never spoken openly about his feelings, in the case of the second season, how do you think that should the relationship between them proceed?
I just hope it continues. I hope it dives further into the relationship. One thing I really love about Drilling the Phantoms, and I think it's so cool, is that every single LGBT film that represents it, they always have issues. Like it's always a struggle, and we've seen that so many times. And it's like, if you keep implanting that into the young minds of people, then they're going to think this is just, and that's great, because, you know, if it is a struggle, which I'm sure it is for most of the people, you know, then you know that you're not alone. So obviously I think that's a great thing to know. But at the same time, it's so nice to have a show for young kids, if they are in that community, just to be like, oh yeah, it was just normal. on the show, they didn't even have to say that this was like, they didn't have to be like, what? You like Willie? Like, what? You like him? Like, the friends weren't like, whoa, really? You're coming out now? Like, there was no any of that. It was just like, oh yeah, he's gay. Like, yeah, they like each other. It's a boy who likes a boy. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong about that. I like that our show, it doesn't cause an issue that it is that, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And I think that's the society that I want to be a part of. And that's the society that I think like I'm surrounded by for sure, where it's not like, oh, whoa, that you like him? That's surprising. Like, it's like, no, like they just like each other and it's cool. Like, it's fine. It's normal. It's regular. That's the day we live in. Like, it's whatever. There's not like, we don't have to like go through all the battles to explain everything. And like, that's a comment that I've gotten a lot of, that people have in the community have appreciated that so much, where it's like finally a show where it's just like normal. We don't have to explain why they like each other. It's like, it's exhausting, you know?
So let me say, I follow you on social media and I can see that art is in your blood. And besides acting, dancing, and dubbing, you also paint. How do you see yourself in each one of these fields of arts? And each one do you think that reflects you most?
I don't know which one reflects me probably the one that reflects me the most is painting, because it's just me, you know, like it's literally just me painting whatever I feel. It comes out, you know, onto the canvas painting, and it's all my decisions. Like, there are no other voices saying you should paint this or you should do that, or, you know, I don't think you would paint that, you know, like but I would say my heart is always in movies and acting. That's a first love. And then music for me is like such a, like, it just is like freedom and journey of like, you know, like I think one of the most powerful, the most powerful art form is music out of all of them, for sure. Because not everybody takes the time to sit and listen or sit and watch like an 1.5 to 3 hour long movie. Everybody listens to music, whether they like say, well, I don't really listen to music, I don't really have a favorite band. They still have songs that they're like, ooh, I like this song, you know? And it makes them happy, or it makes them feel, or makes them remind them of a certain time, you know? Within like 2.5 minutes, you can be happy or sad. I think music is definitely hands down the most powerful art form.
And let me ask you, I think mostly about the art, the painting and the music. What inspired you to do such an amazing work, and how it was to look for inspiration throughout this pandemic?
I felt like the pandemic, when it all happened, it allowed me to, it would kind of force me into being like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna paint, like, and make music, you know? And so, yeah, the pandemic actually like pushed me into that, because everything else got canceled, and that was the only thing that I could like do by myself. I didn't need to be around people to do it. And so, you know, the pandemic it's crazy. It's a pandemic. It's, you know, it is what it is, you know. But for me personally, I was just like, okay, this is what's happening in the world. I'm not gonna, me sitting around being sad is not helping anything. So I might as well like do something with my time, and try to just be creative and just keep going, like just push through. And I'm thankful that my art it's been evolving. Even like this year has been evolving so much, and I think it'll continue to.
And well, you live in Los Angeles, and I bet you also are always tuned in social media. So recently, we've seen a lot of serious hate cases against community, not only in the US, but in the whole world. But we also seen people raising their voice in movements such as Black Lives Matter and Stopping Asian Hates and others. As you belong to the Cameron Boyce Foundation, and they believe that all young people should be empowered to change the world, how do you think that these events affect you and your work in the foundation?
You know, I just want to keep Cameron's like charitable legacy going, essentially. Like I'm there just for full support of what he was all about. And that's, you know, not only is it that, but it's also building wells in Africa. It's like stopping gun violence. It's finding a cure for epilepsy. There's so many other things that he was doing too. And of course, with all of this, he would have been right in the front lines, like going hard, you know,
Yeah.
of course, hands down. And so for me, it's just about the all-encompassing, like Cameron's legacy and just keeping it going and strong. So you know, I want to be there for whatever they want to push and whatever they want to use to get the voice out there. So I really just, yeah, whatever they want to do, I just support it. And I really, because I love Cameron, and you know, I totally agree with what he wants to do and wanted to do, and how he was going to change the world, and how I think his foundation will continue to change the world. I do think it will.
Yeah, and his legacy is important, and it's really doing something.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thank you very much for this interview. If you want to tell something to your fans here, well, you know that Brazilian fans are,
of course,
so they will love it.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and thank you for all the support and the love through the years. For some people, it's been a lot of years now. I truly do appreciate that, and I'm always surprised and touched by it. So thank you so much. Obrigado.